Yeah. Lord Brunson back at you with the back at you, and I am the best reporting on the Eagles. Look, man, I know you ain't been hiding under a rock. Yesterday, the Philadelphia Eagles fired their offensive coordinator, Mike Groh, and the wide receiver coach, Carson Walsh. Now, we're in the business to replace some of these guys. Now, let's talk about the wide receiver position that's open right now, the wide receiver coaching position. Ideally, for a position like that, you would like to have a former wide receiver. Because former wide receivers understand timing, they understand routes, they understand getting in and out of your breaks, and they know how to evaluate guys on the practice squad. That was a big concern for us, man. Carson Walsh did not do a good job of letting us know who was available to us when guys went down. You know what I'm saying? Or we didn't even have to wait for guys to go down. Arcega-Whiteside, yeah, he was a high draft pick, but lo and behold, Greg Ward Jr. was better than him the whole time. Instead of sparing Arcega-Whiteside the embarrassment of a 10-reception season, you know what I'm saying? And Greg Ward coming in and doing better than him in like the last 5 games of the season. We could have did better with the development of Arcega-Whiteside. So that directly falls on the wide receiver coach. Arcega-Whiteside played every game and had 10 catches, man. That's an abysmal season for a wide receiver. It's a rookie wide receiver, especially when you look at his college tape and what he was able to achieve in college. I mean, Arcega-Whiteside looked for sure to be like a sleeper in the draft last year until he touched the field this year. Now, he wasn't properly developed, obviously. At times, he looked confused. At times, he didn't know what route he was supposed to run. At times, he was running the wrong route. Now, you know what I mean? You got to go in there and you got to get a wide receiver that he looked up to as a kid. You got to go out there and make calls to guys like Randy Moss. I don't know what Chris Carter is doing nowadays, but he played for the Eagles. Make calls to guys like that who know how to get to the youth, who know how to get to these young guys and can channel their inner dog and listen. Imagine having Chris Carter or Randy Moss being your wide receiver coach and telling you that you are going to be special. You got what it takes. If you do X, Y, and Z, they'll light a fire under any wide receiver. You know what I mean? So I think when you talk about wide receivers, coaches, you got to have a former wide receiver. You know what I mean? You just got to have a former wide receiver. Now, let's talk about the offensive coordinator position that's open. I know a lot of names seem attractive to us, man. A lot of names like Deuce Staley. Maybe Deuce Staley deserves a promotion. I'm one of those guys who absolutely feels like Deuce is deserving of it. He stuck around. He stayed down with the organization. He's developed multiple running backs for us. Ones we don't keep and ones we end up letting go. You know what I'm saying? Deuce Staley was around to help develop Shady a little bit. Deuce Staley has just been around, man. You see what he's done with Miles Sanders. You see he was able to get a lot out of Darren Sproles at a very towards the tail end of his career. You see what he was able to do with Boston Scott. You see what he was able to do with LeGarrette Blount, another older running back. Ajayi. You know what I mean? To get guys to agree to split time at the running back position is hard to do. But Deuce Staley was able to keep these guys motivated. You know what I mean? Able to keep these guys motivated. And that's just hats off to Deuce, man. You know what I'm saying? But Deuce may lack experience in drawing up plays and calling plays. But you got to think about it like this with Deuce Staley. Deuce Staley will absolutely be able to know when it's time to run the ball. A lot of things that I feel like Doug failed to do last season. We didn't realize the importance of the run until it was almost too late for us, but we were still able to capture a division title. Let's talk about Dan Orlovsky. Dan Orlovsky has been one of Carson Wentz's biggest supporters, has been one of the Philadelphia Eagles' biggest supporters. But does Dan Orlovsky have any coaching experience? Yeah, it's a difference between being a real educated analyst. You know, in some factors, in some realms, you can say that I'm a well-spoken football analyst. You know what I'm saying? But can I coach? You got to be motivational to be able to coach. I think I can do that. I'm not trying to toot my own horn. But you got to know the X's and O's in and out about the game to be able to coach. You got to be able to, you got to be a leader of men in a way, off the field to be able to coach. And we've never seen nothing like that from Dan Orlovsky. But it's somebody that I would look at. You know what I'm saying? It's somebody I would look at. Now let's get to some serious candidates who I think they got a chance. Let's talk about Jim Caldwell, man. Jim Caldwell is basically leading the pack. Now, Jim Caldwell got a really, really extensive resume. 2-time Super Bowl champion as an offensive coordinator. He was an offensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts when Peyton Manning won his ring. Then he ended up becoming Tony Dungy's successor. When Tony Dungy decided to retire, Jim Caldwell walked right into that head coaching position. As a rookie coach, Jim Caldwell was able to bring the Indianapolis Colts to a 14-2 record. Sat the starters for the last 2 games. He was widely criticized for that move, but he sat the starters. They could have easily went 16-0. He was the first rookie head coach to end up in a Super Bowl, to my knowledge. But Jim Caldwell unfortunately lost that Super Bowl to the to the Drew Brees led New Orleans Saints at the time. I mean, Jim Caldwell's resume speaks for itself, man. And then he went on to the Baltimore Ravens. And was actually able to, develop to develop a Joe Flacco into a Super Bowl champion. Then he went on to be the Detroit Lions head coach, helped in the development of Matthew Stafford. Oh, let me back up a little bit. Yeah, he helped in the development with a guy named Peyton Manning. You see what I'm saying? Because he was a quarterback coach with the Indianapolis Colts, a quarterback coach with the Baltimore Ravens, but he was bumped up in positions because he did so well at his position. He's a multi-talented guy, man. I like Jim Caldwell a lot for us. I think that Doug Peterson will respect Jim Caldwell's brass. Jim Caldwell has been to war in the NFL. Jim Caldwell has seen Super Bowls. Jim Caldwell has seen the pinnacle of success. But one thing about Jim Caldwell that scares me is his health. Now, currently they got him listed as the head coach and the QB coach. The assistant head coach and the QB coach for the Miami Dolphins. Didn't see much of him on the sideline because, decline in health. But they're saying he's doing much better now, and he got the heart to be able to, coach on the NFL level and be on that sideline every week. But that's something that concerns me, man. Speaking of the Baltimore Ravens, another guy that I'm really excited about, and shout out to my guy Philly Boy from Texas. He brought this to my attention. James Urban. I like James Urban for one reason. He's the current QB coach of the Baltimore Ravens. But also, James Urban was a QB coach on Andy Reid's staff with Doug Peterson in 2009 and 2010. Now he's the Ravens QB coach. What does that say? Right now, he's about to play in a divisional round of the playoffs with the MVP as his QB, and he's a QB coach. He deserves tons of credit for the development of Lamar Jackson. He's putting Lamar Jackson in position to basically put his talents on the forefront and let it shine on the national stage. Lamar Jackson will be MVP, and Lamar Jackson has to thank his QB coach for that. Fundamentals and all this stuff, not being able to throw the ball, these are things that people said Lamar Jackson couldn't do at the end of last season. Lamar Jackson proved everybody wrong. With a beautiful mix of throwing the ball and running it and keeping it as a quarterback. I think guys like James Urban will help Carson Wentz understand his untapped potential and design things around the offense that fits our quarterback and our dynamic young players like Miles Sanders, Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert. To be an offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles means you have to get all those intricate and critical pieces involved in your game plan. Now, I like James Urban and I like Jim Caldwell the most. A lot of people are talking about this guy, O'Connell guy from Washington. I don't want anybody with a losing pedigree to come in and fill any of these positions. That's just how I feel about the open vacancies. But I feel like that Jim Caldwell is leading the pack based on resume alone. And I think Jim Caldwell deserves a nod, and I think it got to be between Jim Caldwell and a guy like James Urban. Yes, I was pulling hard for Deuce Staley yesterday. That might have been out of excitement, but I think we need some fresh eyes on this offense to look at this offense and tell us what we need as a franchise. A lot of guys are going to say this feels like a rebuild. This feels like a this feels like a that. It's not a rebuild. We are just putting better pieces in key positions. It's not a rebuild at all. We got a lot of veterans coming back. Now we just got to get that offense back to scoring a consistent 28 to 30 points a game. Let me know what you think in the comments.